Now let us see the next form, students, that are features of cooperative society. This cooperative society is governed under Cooperative Societies Registration Act of 1912. So under this act, all these societies needs to be registered. The first one is voluntary membership. All the membership is willful in this case. Only willfully the members become the members of this type of a society. It's deliberate. Then legal status, it has a separate legal existence altogether from its members. And limited liability, every member has liability limited up to the capital contribution by them. And control is always in the hands of the governing body, or BOG members we can call them, as they are elected through elections. So this particular feature also lends a democratic setup to this type of a society. And service motive, always with the motive of social welfare, these organizations are established. They may work in the field of education, or maybe the hospitals or colleges, or maybe the services to be provided in the joint forming associations for the different types. We will see the different types of cooperative society in no time. So next in line is the NCERT points as far as the society is concerned. So as we have discussed, students, this is a cooperative society that forms with the voluntary association of persons, and they have the motive of welfare of the members, because when they form an association, the negotiation power becomes stronger and they work as a team, and hence they can possibly stop the exploitation by the middlemen, and they can earn greater profits. Ultimately, that greater profits they get distributed amongst the members. So this is formed under the Cooperative Societies Act 1912, and the formation is very simple. Just consent of 10 adult members are required in order to form such a society. So minimum number of members are 10 for such societies. Now voluntary membership, we have already discussed this, that anybody who is desiring to become its member can become, and anyone who is feels to leave the society can exit anytime. So there is no compulsion or no restriction as such. Now legal status, as far as this is concerned, students, it has a separate identity altogether distinct from its members, and which means that this kind of a society can enter into the contracts, it can hold the properties in its name and sue others, sued by others as well. So this is entry and exit of its members is not affected. The legal existence of the company or of the society does not get affected by the entry or exit of its members. Now limited liability, with this it is referred, students, that members are only limited to the extent of capital contribution by them, and hence the liability is limited. Their personal assets cannot be touched to pay off this society's debts. Now control, as we have discussed, they have the power to take decisions. They are elected members, they are the board of governing body, and the members of the governing body, BOG, they have the right to vote, and hence they choose its members with that voting right, and it has a completely democratic setup, students, where one person gets one vote to choose the members, and that particular governing body or management committee, they basically run this kind of a society. So it represents a democratic character, and always with the emphasis on the value of mutual help and welfare, because all members, their main agenda is to help out the members involved in such kind of societies. And there are different types as given in your NCERT, students, which you can remember as C champ, चैम्पियन को देखो, इस तरह से आप याद रखें, जहाँ पर C represents credit cooperative society, or we can call it financing cooperative society, which lends finance on easy terms and loans and interest at lower rate of interest in the benefit of its members. Again, C is for consumer cooperative society, which aims at giving benefits, passing on the benefits of a combined negotiation to its consumers, then and protect them from their harassment from the suppliers. H represents housing cooperative society. This you might have seen, students, in the nearby colonies where they are set up using cooperative societies. The names are kept accordingly, and all the involved members, they get benefit out of the group negotiations or common interest. Then A represents agriculture cooperative society, where agricultural products are sold and are given platforms to sell so as to avoid the exploitation of the farmers who are comparatively less educated generally, and to give them a platform to sell off their harvests. And M represents marketing cooperative society students, where marketing of different products is taken under one platform so as to prevent and overhead the interest of the suppliers to increase their negotiation powers with the consumers and prevent their exploitation. Then P represents the producers cooperative society. This is also very important because all the producers, they form a group or a union and to protect each other's interest. So this is always done with the service motive and people welfare. All those involved, they get benefited out of this association. Last form in the book, students, are the joint stock companies, which are governed by the Companies Act of, originally it came in 1956 and now it has been amended in the year 2013. So we are today the companies are governed by this Act of 2013, where it says that any company is an artificial person. With this we mean that it has a separate legal existence altogether, but unlike the natural persons, it cannot breathe, it cannot die, but yes, it is a person in the eyes of law, means having its separate legal existence. Then risk bearing, definitely the members of the companies, that they are the shareholders or the owners of the company, they bear the risk in a combined fashion, so therefore the risk gets shared amongst the owners. Then separate legal existence altogether, because in the eyes of law the company has its own powers, they can enter into its own contracts, hold properties, can sue and can be sued by others on its own name. Then formation, as far as this aspect is concerned, students, formation becomes tedious in case of companies because it's a lengthy procedure. All the legal formalities have to be abided by. A whole separate chapter of chapter 7 in your NCERT is based on the formation of company, where it begins with the idea of the promoter and ultimately leading to the certificate of commencement of business by the companies. So we will discuss this part later in the chapter 7 of your book, students. Then perpetual succession, with this we mean that there is no challenge to the companies for as far as continuity is concerned, because every member, they come and they go and new members join in, so the continuity is ensured and there is no threat to the continuity. That means the company goes on and on in a perpetual manner. Control obviously lies on the board of the owners, which also the shareholders, they also hold the voting rights, so control goes to them. They have a control and say in the management, and it is governed by the company is already, although controlled by the owners, but it is governed by or managed by the board of directors as chosen by the shareholders. Now common seal, this is since we have discussed, students, that company is an artificial person, so it needs to sign its documents, and since it cannot sign on its own, the artificial seal और जिसको हम ठप्पा बोलते हैं, वो मोहर डालनी पड़ती है, जिससे कि कंपनी का साइन किया हुआ डॉक्यूमेंट उससे पता लगता है. It is not just enough to put that seal, but apart from that there also has to be a signature of authorized signatory to make the document valid from the company's side. So this is ultimately that seal which gives the authenticity of any document to the as issued by the company. Then we have liability. Liability in this case, as it is the most advanced form in the entire chapter, so we can always conclude that liability is definitely limited in the sense that no personal assets can be taken up in order to pay off the business debts. Now let us see what NCERT has to say, and let us quickly discuss the merits and demerits of such a form. It is said, students, that company is an artificial person. It has its own existence in the eyes of law. It can own property, incur debts, borrow money, enter into contracts. It can sue and can be sued by other persons, but artificial because it cannot eat, run or talk. So it is called an artificial person. Now separate legal existence altogether because it has a distinct identity from its members. Its liabilities and assets are separate from that of its owners. So it has everything of its own. Then formation is time consuming and a complicated process, as we discussed, because there are several legal formalities and everything has to be worked out in order to bring the company into existence. So this is all provisions are governed by the Companies Act 2013. Then there is perpetual succession, which means there is no problem as far as the existence of the company is concerned, because creation is done by the law and only the law can put an end to its existence. So this is very, very clear that company's closure or winding up is completely in the hands of the law, and it is totally governed by the legal actions. Now control, as far as this is concerned, it is managed by the board of directors, as we have discussed, which are ultimately chosen by the owners, who are the capital investors in the company and are also called shareholders. Then accountability, as we have seen, it is limited to the extent of capital contributed or the guaranteed amount by its members. So it is definitely a plus point for the company. Even this we can say that separate legal existence and perpetual succession are all merits, because students, you know very well that when the liability it's limited, no personal assets can be touched and the members are free. They are just bound to pay the capital contribution by them in case of winding up of the company. So this is the liability, restricted liability we can call it. Then it is also said regarding common seal. Common seal is very, very important, because the company has to have its own signature, official signature. Any document which does not carry this seal is not a binding document on the company. So in order to make the document authentic from the company's end, this common seal needs to be put on every paper. Then risk bearing, as we have discussed, it is borne by all the shareholders. In case of sole proprietor, we have seen that only one member is the sole bearer of risk, but here the risk gets divided amongst all its shareholders who have contributed to the debts and to the extent of their shares in the company's capital. So all liabilities of the shareholders are limited up to the capital contribution done by them. So in the next chapter, students, that is chapter number 7, we are going to discuss in detail about the types of companies, the private company, public company and one person company as well, and also we will discuss on the formation, the various legal formalities involved in the formation of company, right from the inception of the idea by the promoter till its existence in the form of the separate legal business. So I hope the company form is very clear. Now let us take a quick recap of all the things that we have gone through in this chapter, students, through a comparative evaluation of the different forms as we have discussed. So as far as formation is concerned, the sole proprietor, this is the least developed form in the form of businesses, and as we move towards our right, the forms get developed more. So obviously formation is very easiest in the case of sole proprietor. It is here in partnership, registration was optional, it is also easy. Then we have in Hindu business, there are less legal formalities, just very easy formation as per the act, Hindu Succession Act. And in cooperative societies, we have seen, students, that registration became compulsory, and in companies it is a lengthy and expensive procedure. Then as far as members are concerned, sole proprietor only one member, here 2 to 50 members as we discussed in case of partnership. In case of joint Hindu business, at least 2 persons were required, and every minor member, as they took birth in the family, they becomes the member. So here we have cooperative society where at least 10 adult members are required, and in case of private company there are 2 minimum members, and in public company there are 7 minimum members, and maximum limit is up to 200 in case of private, and in public it is unlimited. So you can remember like 2 to 200 for private and 7 to unlimited for public sector company. This we are going to discuss in the chapter 7 as well. Now capital formation, here it is limited finance because only one person governing the organization, and here again it is limited because there are restricted members, partners, they can be few only. Here ancestral property is there. In cooperative society it is again limited, and here they have, in case of companies, very large amount of financial resources. Not only financial, there are other resources also which are in ample amount. Now as far as liability is concerned, it is unlimited, unlimited. Here also unlimited for Karta, and for other members it becomes limited. Remember students, in partnership we discussed LLP where liability became limited with an exception to one partner. But in the higher forms you can see, students, that cooperative society and companies, they always have a limited liability, and no members' assets, personal assets can be taken up. Then control and management, here owner takes all decisions, the single owner. Here partners take, combined with the consent of all partners, all decisions are taken. Here Karta is the ultimate decision maker. However, in case of cooperative societies, the elected representatives, as they are elected by the members of the society, they are free to take any decision, committee decisions. and there is separation, complete separation of ownership with the management. This is a unique characteristic again of this form, which you must remember, students, that there is distinction between the ownership and control. Control is done by the board of directors, the management is looked after by the board of directors, but the voting power, control, ultimate control of choosing the board of director members lies in the hands of shareholders. And as far as continuity feature is concerned, the last point, here it is unstable because as the sole proprietor dies or turns lunatic or insolvent, the business is stopped, and here it is comparatively more stable, but again it gets affected by the status of the partners. Here in case of HUF, the business continues to grow because even if the Karta dies, the next eldest member becomes Karta and the business continues. Here also it is stable in case of cooperative society because it has a separate legal existence, and in the company's form also, students, we have seen that it is a complete separate legal existence and only law can put an end to its existence. So I hope all the comparative evaluation amongst the different forms is very, very clear. Thank you.